cardiovascular product development, infectious disease diagnostic, lab test product development, but after medical school, I did do a residency. I started a medication adherence company, a different company, and I've dedicated my life to medication adherence. So medication adherence is a very complex problem. When a prescription is prescribed, it is a very low likelihood patients will take it as prescribed and refill it. So the medication is issued, a patient may or may not go to the pharmacy. If they go to the pharmacy, they may or may not fill the medication. It could be too expensive, they may not have insurance for it. If they are able to fill it and they go home, they may not take it correctly. They may take their partner's medications, they may misunderstand directions. They may not feel motivated to take their medication. They may feel it working too well and not enough. There may not be a support group or support individual or caregiver for that individual to help them take their medication. So it's a complex issue. Refilling the medication as prescribed happens only 25% of the time for any given prescription. So we've tried to tackle these challenges with our solution. And we've developed a national virtual care clinical platform staffed by providers and our own homegrown technology to sell direct to consumers as well as to insurance companies, hospitals, healthcare organizations. And this is the product. So DayaMed has over 70 employees. Half the team is dedicated to our provider group. We have physicians, nurse practitioners, RNs, patient care advocates, all dedicated specifically to helping patients take their medication. We're licensed in 23 states. We cover 70% of the U.S. population to see them. And the other side of the organization is our technology group. Because we are a provider organization, we are able to access data that most tech companies cannot do. So this includes your prescriptions, e-prescribing data, all scripts that are issued, health information exchanges, your EMR records, kind of scary. We need very little information to actually access that. So once a patient does come to DayaMed, and we have a direct-to-consumer channel, patients come to us to sign up for the program, or they're recommended from their physician or healthcare organization or pharma or health insurance company, we onboard them. And they'll meet with a nurse practitioner. We'll pull all their medication information from all the pharmacies, well, 92% of the pharmacies around the United States, and look for any duplicate medications they may be on, or any medications that are contradicting with each other. And you would be amazed. Patients take drugs that are 3 years old that should be discontinued. There's some patients are taking their spouse's medication. It's amazing what we find. But we go through the list, and we also price shop for the patient. So we just signed an agreement with Mark Cuban's pharmacy. Every patient gets a complimentary Gold GoodRx membership from us as well. So we'll price shop, and our team of practitioners will actually transfer the medication for the patient as well to that new pharmacy that's cheaper for them. On average, our patients will save up to $300 per month when they come onto the program. We then use our AI engine to take the data and actually push it down to the patient's device, and they'll get an alert to take their medication. And they can hit yes, I took it on their device, or actually hold a vial in front of their phone, and instantaneously recaptures the right vial in their hand. They can tap their pill vial, they can tap their pill organizer. So we meet the patient where they are for medication adherence. And patients are incentivized. We give them up to $30 per month if they're taking their meds as prescribed. It's a gift card for healthy food, to buy medication, so there's a motivational element to this as well. And there's other drug databases in here where they can see side effects, all information about their medication. They can see all the pharmacies they visit, all in one application. They can refill their medications, all in one application. So if you're at a Walgreens, Walmart, all in our app, you can refill your drugs and see your medications. You get a new script issued. Within 15 minutes, it shows up in your application as a script. A lot of patients will call us before they fill it. They want to know where's the cheapest place to do it. So you really are able to take control of your prescriptions and feel like you own it. Even the pharmacies believe they own it. We're trying to give that back to the patient. The story is interesting. It started back in 2018 when I started this particular company with my 7-year-old MacBook Pro at the time and a $50,000 investment. I moved to Reno, Nevada, where we're based in 2019. Since then, we've closed over $10 million of investment to the company. We're on track to do, $7.5 million in revenue by the end of this year. We have done a very successful clinical program with the Veterans Affairs, which I'll talk about here later. We're working with Humana with the Medicare Advantage program, OptumRx. We actually have the strategy director of OptumRx, America's largest PBM, is a board observer of the company. We're working with Samsung as well with an integration into their healthcare platform. It's very exciting for us. So the market is vast. Medicare, Medicaid is a huge market for us. 1% penetration there would be substantial revenue to the company. We make about $4,000 per year per patient that we onboard. The inclusive criteria for a patient, if you take many medications, or you take an antiviral for HIV or an oncology medication, or you're older and you need help with your medications. So it is a pretty large market that really does require our services. From a competitive landscape, Apple launched a medication here in this application. We are talking to them too. They don't have any backend connectivity. They can't access your data. They don't have providers, no phone numbers, like an alarm clock. Same thing with Medisafe, who raised $60 million. It's more like a virtual pillbox, if anything. No data access, no providers. It's not reimbursable. I threw Livongo on there. This company actually did a diabetes management program using a device and a team of clinicians like we do. They hit 10,000 patients and made an exit for over $10 billion. So hopefully we can mimic something like that. We are currently working with accountable care organizations, health systems, hospitals, physicians. They send patients our way. We help them with quality measures. Patients taking their medications, controlling blood pressure, high cholesterol are huge points of reimbursement for these kinds of organizations in the healthcare space. If they don't hit these measures, they get penalized. If they do, they get rewarded from the government. So it's very important that patients take their medications all around. Here's the amazing thing. Patients don't pay a penny for our service. Hospitals don't pay a penny for our service. We bill Medicare, Medicaid, insurance companies for remote patient management, remote therapy management, evaluation management. These are all codes that are billed with the plan. So these are no cost to hospitals, physicians, patients. I want to reiterate that. Patients can earn healthy reward dollars by taking their medications. So the solution is very scalable. CMS, this is a big organization that runs the federal government's healthcare system, anticipates that 25% of their multi-trillion-dollar budget will go to these kinds of preventative programs over the next 10 years. I think we're in a pretty good space for it. Funds will be utilized to scale the organization. We're trying to get ahead of demand by hiring before it takes about 30 days to recruit, train, deploy clinical assets. So the primary purpose of the funds will be to continue to scale the clinical organization and the technology platform that we have. These are some of this slide is incorrect. We're actually in 23 states now. We cover 70% of the U.S. population for reimbursements. It costs us over $1 million to get credentialed in these states to bill Medicare and Medicaid and the private payers. Teladoc today, for example, you can't use your insurance for them unless it's a specific product, the Blue Cross. They don't take insurance. It's very complex to navigate this maze. We've done it successfully, and we have counsel in Washington, D.C. that helps us do so. Two more big things I just want to talk about, and I'll wrap this up. We did a study with the Veterans Affairs, and this was on the average age was 7 years old, and the study was for 180 days. It was a crossover study, so at day 90, the two groups switched. Control became intervention, and intervention became control. It was done at the Sierra Nevada Veterans Hospital in Reno, Nevada. It was done at the University of Nevada, Reno School of Medicine's Internal Review Board, so we were highly ethical. We took blood of the patients day 1, day 90, day 180, and what we found was remarkable. Within 90 days, we reduced A1C. This is the gold standard for measuring diabetes in patients, was reduced by 0.69. The FDA requirement for a new drug to be approved is 0.5. We exceeded the requirement of a new drug to treat type 2 diabetes. And we were hopeful about this, but we found, and we were very happy when it happened, and we found some other things that were pretty unique, that were unexpected. Within the 90 days, our patients on our solution took less drugs. The solution was so effective at adherence that the physicians had to reduce the dosage of medications that patients were on. That was unexpected and remarkable.
I love that.
Thank you. And in the control group, not on our solution, they had a 400% chance higher rate to take more drugs. They escalated in their therapy, and sometimes went from the oral medication for type 2 diabetes to an injectable medication like insulin. One other cool thing, the refill rates in both groups, and refill rates are the gold standard today for measuring adherence by pharma and PBMs and everyone else, was 100% in both groups. So that data point doesn't mean anything if you refill your meds. We get daily dose-specific medication adherence reports. We share it with providers, caregivers get it, but looking at that data point, it's actually accurate and specific to medication adherence. It means something. The company itself, there's a logo on here, a name on here, I can't reveal it, but we are in discussions for a potential acquisition by the end of the year with a global technology company. I'm excited about it. I didn't think it would go that way, but it will allow the company to scale and get our solution out to more patients quicker. And the company culture has been fantastic in working with them so far. So thank you very much, everybody.
Welcome, Justin.
Hi.
Nice job today.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
It was fantastic. It's amazing, again, medical and really trying to solve someone who takes medication. It was interesting to hear the different facts about people not using it correctly or sharing it with others or taking partners' medication, and how your app I can relate to it, so I see the need. And how did you get started? I mean, what's the passion? There's got to be some big backstory to it.
There's a big backstory.
There's got to be.
Yeah,
Share.
totally. So my dad, like medicine and law by background, my dad did the same thing, and he became an entrepreneur by accident. After med school, he was like, I can't work with insurance companies, I have to do something different. But during another one of his projects, he had a minor stroke. And it was a TIA, nothing too serious, but he said, this is the late 90s. And he said, no more should people have strokes. We have too much science out there, we have to stop this. So his path was actually putting together a combination pill using like blood pressure meds, statins, like cholesterol drugs, and sugar medications on one pill. That had issues to scale, and yeah, that's kind of how I got started in me. And then I went to med school, and I was like, oh, this is my vision. This is how I believe it should be. And after med school, I started a robotic distribution pharmacy. This is 2009. Started a nurse-led call center and a little device called a MedPod that dispenses pouches of meds. I was making health plans back then, though, that said, I don't want patients taking more medications. They cost me more money. And the Affordable Care Act just got passed. Value-based care wasn't really a thing yet, and it was so frustrating. And it's funny, too, PillPack, which Amazon acquired for $1 billion, started 3 years after us. I guess they weren't too early. Yeah, and in 2018, I had this envision that said, how do we scale this out to everyone? It had to be software-based. You have to have a provider in it, because it's not just technology. There's a huge human factor here. There's no one silver bullet. It's a very challenging solution. But to answer your question, yeah, I started with my dad. He had a stroke 24 years ago, and started a mission, and I'm trying to carry it on now.
Carrying the legacy.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Beautiful. So we talk about lessons learned as entrepreneurs. It sounds like your dad has learned lessons through his journey, and you've been able to learn from those. As you've been through this process, what have you learned about your product?
My product? For myself?
How about both?
Oh, okay. Well, firstly, it's very hard. Being an entrepreneur is not easy, but you will grow and fail. Fail a lot. Fail often. It's hard to fail when you do fail, but that's how you succeed. I mean, just looking back, knowing that there's no one silver bullet device that's going to solve adherence. Okay, check that. We failed at that. Knowing that you want to change the protocols for all pharmacies to support your product. Okay, fail that, we can't do that, we got to work within that realm. And sometimes you get lucky. Look around you, see what's going on. I'll give you an example. 2020, no one wanted to pay for our solution. We thought it had a great solution. We built out a small provider team, and I was like, no, we can't afford to pay for this, it's great. And then COVID happened. and telehealth became a thing. And the reimbursement laws changed, the regulatory landscape changed. Programs that were discussed by the government, giving people incentives to take their medications. You couldn't do that before COVID, but all that changed after COVID. So, tuck and roll, keep your eyes open, fail a lot, keep trying, aim high. Some of the companies we're talking to now are global icons. Programs that I'm just talking to you, we're engaged, we're developing with them, we're integrating our products with their products. That was a dream 10 years ago, and here we are.
Well, I heard about prizes for compliance or patients taking. So I take an injectable every 2 weeks. So what are some of the things that your company's helping others build into this compliance and more the reward model as a patient?
Yes, the reward model is pretty new, and part of the reward model is just speaking to your clinical care team. That's the key. The technology is a great conduit to the patient, but engaging with your clinician, talking to them, building that relationship, that's what I believe is the real incentive to patients. Some patients, though, right, the gift card is great. They take more drugs, they get paid a little bit more money, but they're spending it on food. They're spending it at the grocery store and buying medication. With the Veterans Affairs, when we did that program, we gave all the Veterans Mission Medals. These are medals that are typically given out when they go on deployments, and we customized it for Nevada. It's Lake Tahoe on it and stuff. It's kind of cool. They were in the waiting room comparing medals with each other. They really wanted a medal, and if a patient doesn't record a dose and they don't correct it in time, they will call in. They're like, we actually did take this, and sometimes it's not about just the gift card, but they want their data to be correct. They want their provider to know, hey, I did the right thing. Or their caregiver to know, their dad or loved one, whomever, that, hey, I did take my med. And it becomes important to them. It's great. Take your drugs. You're going to be.
And you are seeing, with more compliance, you're seeing better results for the patient, not just short-term, long-term, and maybe the need for less medicine going forward.
Right?
That's
that came out of our clinical study.
I saw that.
Didn't expect it. When I heard that, I was floored. When it started, I was like, the study's probably not going to work. We're going to have to adjust this or that. And we saw the results. We're like, wow, this is actually highly effective. It's very motivational. And patients taking less. We knew that would be the case, right? If you're adherent, you're going to take your drugs. It's going to have an impact on the patient. But to see it actually pan out, and see that in patients' blood that they took less drugs was pretty cool. The other thing too about this is the VA. The VA staff members don't have access to outside VA medications. So seeing all their medications in one spot was very helpful to them to track all those medications. And although we just studied that one drug, we saw this impactful across all their medications. It all went down. And patients who shared this data about adherence with their providers, the study had clinical pharmacists as the lead investigators, and they were engaging with the patients. But the VA members would go to the doctor and say, look what I did. And the doctor's like, oh, that explains it. That's why you're getting help here.
It's centralized data.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. So in your pitch, we heard you mention Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about how that partnership was formed, what you're excited about with that.
Well, Mark has a lot of businesses, right? And I like Mark Cuban because he goes after markets that have very entrenched interests, and he's not afraid to take them on. And what he has done at Cost Plus Pharmacy is incredibly impressive. He's actually contracting or actually creating generic medications. I forget his profit margin, but it's a fixed small profit margin they have. And they're turning the pharma industry, like insulin or type 2 diabetes medications, far cheaper than what's available. There's no insurance, just cash, and they can't scale fast enough. So for DayaMed, we want to add more options for our patients. So GoodRx is great. They provide 6 or 7 different pharmacies you can transfer your drugs to. Everyone gets a membership. Mark Cuban offers another channel. We're talking to Optum Perks. This is a giant insurance PBM. They have their own GoodRx now as well. So we want to give the patient more choice. And we really do want them to feel like they own their prescriptions. Because pharmacists think they own their prescriptions. Maybe they do legally, but we want to empower you You know, it's your script. You should go where it's convenient, where it's cheapest, because all that helps where you take your medication. Every little bit helps to help you take your drugs.
And do you see this as a way to continue to drive competition and costs down, especially for when they're a med that's has 7 or 8 years of its, where it's the only med that you can go, and then there's no generic, or when generics come out later. So you see that as your application being able to help?
Absolutely. I mean,
In that area.
the long-term vision, though, right, guys, is we're doing another study soon on congestive heart failure. You know, if you're discharged from a hospital with congestive heart failure, you tend to fill up with fluids afterwards. If you take your Lasix, which helps you get rid of your fluids in 30 days, you probably won't go back to the hospital. And that impacts your heart for the next 10 years in terms of efficiency and health. So we want to study that next. And where we want to get to eventually is where if you're a patient, you're on 10 or more drugs, you have dementia or Alzheimer's, or you're on Prograf, an organ rejection medication, just to be taken within a half an hour, we believe we should be part of that clinical protocol to elevate these outcomes. Because why shouldn't you have these services? You know, we've proven that the drugs are more effective. You're going to be healthier. I mean, imagine you have a loved one and they get prescribed a blood pressure medication after a stroke, and they don't take it, and they have another stroke and die. When this program could have been there to support them through the journey and help them. And doctors don't have time. Right? They're busy managing their practice, they're seeing patients. We feel that way. And a lot of doctors and health systems say, hey, can you help us? So I kind of bill ourselves as a medication care and specialty provider, like a cardiologist, but we focus on Medicare.
Well, it's a support group as well. You talked about a little bit as a support group, helping people, not just remind them about medications, but do you provide information about the medication to the individual taking it?
Absolutely. So you go in the app, you can access all the information about it, side effects, what it interacts with. But the relationship with our clinical team is really the secret sauce. All of our NPs, nurse practitioners, are geriatric trained, they have over 20 years experience, and they build a relationship with you. We want to know where you went on vacation, how you're eating, what's the dog's name. And a lot of our patients, they may have another health issue, and we'll treat them for that too. They have cough, they need an antibiotic. We'll look at that. And we're there for you, right? Advanced care planning, you know, you're older. What should be your treatment protocols for the next 2 years to treat your high blood pressure? We'll work through that with you as well. So it's not just limited to, how can we take your drugs? We look at you holistically.